Joyce Kim's heart stopped the moment she realized she wasn't sitting on a chair. She was sitting on her boss's lap. The billionaire CEO whose cold stare had made senior executives cry. And then he whispered four words that changed everything. Don't you dare move. Welcome to Stories by Jason. If you're settled in and ready for a good story, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I've got another exciting story coming your way tomorrow, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for the love and support. You're truly appreciated, and I'm so grateful to have you here with me. Joyce Kim had perfected the art of being invisible and unforgettable at the same time. At 31, she was the youngest director of analytics at Chen Industries, the multinational conglomerate that had its fingers in everything from tech manufacturing to luxury real estate. She was also the only black woman in the C-suite, a fact that everyone noticed and no one mentioned, at least not to her face. She'd learned to navigate the gleaming halls of Chen Tower in Seoul with her natural hair pulled into an elegant bun, her blazers sharp enough to cut through the subtle discrimination that still existed in corporate Korea. By day, she was Director Kim, respected, feared a little, known for analytics so precise they'd save the company millions. But tonight was the annual Chen Industries Gala, and Joyce had allowed herself to be someone else. The event was held at the Shilla Hotel's grand ballroom, crystal chandeliers casting everything in warm gold light. Seoul's business elite mingled in designer gowns and tailored suits, champagne flowing freely. Joyce had chosen a deep emerald dress that hugged her curves, her hair loose in thick, glossy curls that caught the light. Her friend Minji from marketing had practically dragged her here. You work too hard, Minji had said earlier. One night, just have fun. Fun? Joyce had almost forgotten what that meant. She was standing near the bar, nursing her second glass of champagne, when the announcement came. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC's voice boomed over the music. It's time for our annual musical chairs competition. Everyone to the center floor. Groans and laughter rippled through the crowd. It was a tradition, ridiculous, undignified, and exactly the kind of thing that made this gala memorable. Executives worth millions scrambling for chairs like children. Oh no, Joyce said, but Minji was already pulling her toward the growing circle. Come on, when was the last time you did something ridiculous? Joyce found herself laughing despite her protests. Around her, Seoul's most powerful people were lining up, loosening ties, kicking off heels. The absurdity of it was beautiful. 20 chairs, 21 people. The music started, something upbeat and playful. Joyce circled with the others, her competitive instincts waking up. She'd grown up with 3 older brothers in Chicago. She knew how to win. The circle moved. People laughed, jostled. Joyce kept her eyes on a chair slightly separated from the others, her target. She calculated distances, timing, the exact moment she'd need to move. The music cut off. Joyce lunged. She landed on something warm and solid that definitely wasn't a chair. Her brain took a moment to process. She'd sat down, yes, but instead of wood or cushion, she'd landed on someone's lap, strong thighs beneath her, a sharp intake of breath, a hand instinctively settling on her waist to steady her. Oh my God, Joyce started, scrambling to get up. I'm so... Don't. One word, quiet, absolute, spoken in a voice that made her freeze completely. The hand on her waist tightened, not painful, not restricting, just holding. Don't move. Joyce's heart hammered against her ribs. She knew that voice. Every person in this room knew that voice. Alexander Chen. Her boss, the CEO, the man whose name was on the building, whose family had built an empire, whose net worth had more zeros than Joyce could count. The man who'd spoken to her maybe 5 times in 3 years, always brief, always professional, always in conference rooms with 10 other people present. She was sitting on his lap, in front of 300 people, at the company gala. Her career flashed before her eyes. Stay, Alexander said, his voice low enough that only she could hear. His breath was warm against her ear. If you jump up now, you'll draw more attention. Just breathe. Joyce became hyper-aware of everything. The solid warmth of him beneath her, his hand on her waist, steady and sure. The way the entire ballroom had gone quiet, hundreds of eyes watching them. the faint scent of his cologne, something expensive, cedar and bergamot. She turned her head slightly and made the mistake of looking at him. Alexander Chen was, objectively speaking, the most beautiful man Joyce had ever seen in person. Sharp jaw, cheekbones that could cut glass, dark eyes that seemed to see through every defense she'd ever built. His hair was styled back from his face, and he wore a midnight blue suit that probably cost more than her car. But it was his expression that caught her. He wasn't angry or embarrassed. He was looking at her with an intensity that made her breath catch, like she was the only person in the room, like everyone else had suddenly stopped existing. "I was aiming for the chair," Joyce managed, finding her voice. "I know," the corner of his mouth twitched. Was that almost a smile? "Your trajectory was perfect. I moved the chair." "You what?" "I moved it, half a second before the music stopped." Now he definitely smiled, and it transformed his face from coldly beautiful to devastating. "I wanted to see what you'd do." Joyce's mind reeled. That's cheating." "It's strategy." His thumb traced a small circle on her waist, and Joyce felt it like electricity. "There's a difference." Someone cleared their throat loudly, the MC trying to regain control of the situation. "Well, that's certainly one way to participate. Should we continue?" Alexander's eyes never left Joyce's face. "What do you think, Director Kim? Should we continue?" He was giving her the choice. She could stand up, laugh it off, rejoin the game. Pretend this moment was an accident, a funny story for the office. Or Joyce had spent 3 years being careful, being professional, being the woman who never gave anyone a reason to question her competence, her presence, her right to be in that C-suite. But something in Alexander's eyes made her want to be reckless. "I think," Joyce said slowly, "that I've already won." Alexander's smile widened, confident. "Accurate." The crowd around them erupted in laughter and applause. Someone started cheering. The tension broke, and suddenly it was funny instead of scandalous. The buttoned-up CEO and the brilliant director caught in a moment of absurdity. Joyce stood and Alexander rose with her, his hand remaining on the small of her back. They were the same height with her heels on, eye to eye. "I should apologize," Joyce said. "Don't," Alexander's voice was firm. "I'm the one who moved the chair." "Why would you do that?" "Because you looked like you needed something unexpected to happen." His hand dropped from her back, but his eyes held hers. "And I wanted an excuse to talk to you." Joyce's breath caught. "You're my boss. You can talk to me anytime." "Not like this." He gestured subtly to the ballroom, the party resuming around them. "Not as Director Kim in a conference room. As Joyce, the woman who runs 5 miles every morning, who brings her own lunch in Tupperware because she doesn't trust the executive dining room, who laughs at her own jokes before anyone else does." She stared at him. "How do you know?" "I notice things." Alexander stepped closer, close enough that she could see gold flecks in his dark eyes. "I've noticed you for 3 years, Joyce Kim. Every presentation where you made my VP of Finance look like an amateur. Every meeting where you were the only one brave enough to disagree with me. Every morning when you think no one's watching you dance in the elevator." Oh God, the elevator. Joyce felt heat flood her face. "I don't dance in the—" "You do, every Thursday. Same song on your headphones. You think you're alone." His smile was soft now, genuine. "You're not." Joyce's world tilted. Alexander Chen, Billionaire CEO, the man who made board members tremble, had been watching her, noticing her, not as an employee but as a person. "This is highly inappropriate," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Completely," he agreed. "Have dinner with me tomorrow." "That's even more inappropriate." "I know, have dinner with me anyway." Every professional instinct Joyce had was screaming warnings. Dadding your boss was career suicide. Dadding Alexander Chen specifically was madness. He existed in a different stratosphere. A world of private jets and magazine covers and women who looked like they'd been designed by committee. But he was looking at her like she was the answer to a question he'd been asking for years. "One dinner," Joyce heard herself say. "One dinner." Alexander's smile was triumphant. "I'll text you tomorrow." "You don't have my number." "Yes, I do. I'm your boss, remember?" He winked. actually winked and walked away, leaving Joyce standing in the middle of the ballroom, her heart racing, her carefully constructed professional life cracking at the seams. Minji appeared at her elbow, eyes wide. Did that just happen? Did Alexander Chen just ask you out, in front of everyone? Joyce watched him disappear into the crowd, executives parting for him like water. I think so. Girl, Minji grabbed her arm. Do you have any idea what you just started? Joyce looked around the ballroom. People were whispering, starring, phones probably already lighting up with gossip. By morning, everyone at Chen Industries would know about the musical chairs incident, about Alexander's hand on her waist, about the way he looked at her. No, Joyce admitted, but I think I'm about to find out. The text came at 9 a.m. the next morning. Unknown number, Hanalquin 7 p.m. I'll send a car. AC. Joyce stared at her phone, coffee halfway to her lips. AC. Alexander Chen. Her boss was texting her about dinner like it was the most natural thing in the world. Her phone buzzed again. Unless you prefer to pick the place, I want you to feel comfortable. And before you worry, I'm not expecting anything except conversation, and maybe an explanation of your Q3 analytics that saved us from the semiconductor disaster. That was brilliant. Despite everything, Joyce smiled. He was trying. Powerful, commanding Alexander Chen was trying to make her comfortable. She typed back, Hanalquin is fine, but I'm meeting you there. No car. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Independent. I should have expected that. I'll be the one in the private room, trying not to look like I'm nervous. You get nervous. Only around women who sit on my lap and make me question every professional boundary I've ever maintained. Joyce almost dropped her phone. The day at work was surreal. People stared, whispered. Her assistant brought her coffee with a knowing smile. In the lunch line, conversation stopped when she approached. The musical chairs incident had spread through Chen Industries like wildfire. By 3 p.m., she'd had enough. She marched to her friend David's office, VP of Operations, one of the few people who'd always treated her like an equal. Okay, give it to me straight, Joyce said, closing his door. How bad is the gossip? David leaned back in his chair, grinning. On a scale of interesting office rumor to everyone's talking about nothing else, it's a solid 11. Fantastic. Joyce, David's expression turned serious. Do you know what you're doing? Alexander Chen isn't just your boss, he's Alexander Chen. His family basically owns half of Korea. His business dealings are perfectly legal and above board, Joyce finished. I did my research when I joined the company. Legal, yes, but the man has enemies, serious ones, corporate rivals who'd love to find a weakness, and now everyone knows he's interested in you. We're having dinner, one dinner. David gave her a look. No one looks at someone the way he looked at you last night and stops at one dinner. Just be careful, please. By 6:45 p.m., Joyce was reconsidering everything. She changed outfits 4 times, finally settling on black trousers and a silk burgundy blouse, professional enough to not feel like she was trying too hard, elegant enough to match the restaurant's reputation. Her hair was up in a high puff, gold earrings catching the light. Hanalquin was legendary. Traditional Korean fine dining, the kind of place where presidents ate, where deals worth billions were negotiated over perfectly grilled galbi. The hostess greeted her by name. Director Kim, Mr. Chen is expecting you. This way, please. The private room was beautiful, traditional Korean architecture with modern touches, low table, floor cushions, a window overlooking a private garden. And there was Alexander, wearing charcoal slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, looking unfairly attractive while arranging dishes. He stood when she entered, and Joyce saw something in his expression, relief maybe, like he'd been worried she wouldn't come. You're early, he said. Punctuality is respect. Joyce removed her shoes at the entrance, padding in to sit across from him. My mother's rule. Your mother sounds wise. Alexander poured her tea with practiced grace. Tell me about her. So Joyce did. She told him about growing up in Chicago's South Side, about her mother who'd worked 2 jobs to put her through Northwestern, about her father who died when she was 12 but who'd taught her to love numbers, to see patterns in chaos. Alexander listened. really listened, asking questions that showed he was paying attention, not just waiting for his turn to talk. "What about you?" Joyce asked finally. "What's it like being born into the Chen Empire?" Alexander's expression shifted, something guarded sliding into place. "It's like being born with a script already written, every choice predetermined. Business school, specific major, entry position in the company, marriage to someone suitable." He paused. "I've followed that script perfectly until now." "Until now?" "Until last night." His eyes met hers. "Until I moved that chair and stopped pretending I hadn't been watching you for 3 years." Joyce's heart hammered. "Alexander, I know all the reasons this is complicated. You work for me. There's a power dynamic. People will talk, they already are. Some will say you slept your way to success, even though you earned every promotion on merit. Some will say I'm taking advantage." "Are you?" "No," his voice was firm. "But I need you to know what you're walking into if we do this. My family has expectations. My mother has been introducing me to suitable women for 5 years. Business rivals will see you as a target, a weakness they can exploit. Your professional reputation might suffer, no matter how brilliant you are." Joyce absorbed this. "You're trying to talk me out of this." "I'm trying to be honest with you." Alexander leaned forward. "Because if we start this, I won't want to stop, and I need you to know what it might cost." There was something raw in his voice, vulnerable in a way Joyce hadn't expected from the man who commanded boardrooms with a glance. "What do you want, Alexander?" she asked quietly. "I want to take you to dinner without worrying about who sees us. I want to text you in the middle of the day just because you crossed my mind. I want to know what you look like first thing in the morning, whether you're a coffee or tea person, what makes you laugh until you can't breathe." He paused. "I want to stop being CEO Alexander Chen for a few hours and just be someone you chose to spend time with." Joyce felt something crack open in her chest. Here was one of the most powerful men in Korea, admitting he was lonely, admitting he wanted something real. "I have a proposal," Alexander said suddenly. "That sounds ominous." "Practical," he smiled slightly. "My mother is hosting a charity gala in 2 weeks. She's invited the daughter of a business associate, clearly expecting me to show interest. If I show up alone, she'll orchestrate an entire evening of awkward conversation and thinly veiled marriage hints." "So you want a date?" "I want you." He held her gaze. "Come with me as my date. It solves my immediate problem, and it makes our relationship public in a controlled way. My family will know I'm serious about you. The office gossip becomes confirmed reality instead of speculation." Joyce tried to process. "That's a lot, meeting your family, making it public." "I know, and if it's too much too fast, we can do this differently, slower, more private. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. "I've spent my entire life doing what's expected, playing it safe, following the script. For once I want to choose something for myself, someone for myself." Joyce looked at this man who had everything, and seemed to have nothing he actually wanted. She thought about David's warning, about the complications, about her career. Then she thought about the way Alexander had looked at her last night, the way he listened, the way he made her feel seen. "Okay," she said. Alexander's eyes widened. "Okay. One condition. When we're alone like this, you're just Alexander, not my boss, not the CEO, just a man who moved a chair because he wanted an excuse to talk to me." She smiled. "Can you do that?" "I think so." His hand reached across the table, palm up, an invitation, not a demand. "Can you handle the complications?" Joyce placed her hand in his. His fingers closed around hers, warm and sure. "I'm from Chicago," she said. "We don't scare easy." Alexander's laugh was warm and genuine. "God, you're perfect." They ate dinner, talking for hours. Alexander told her about studying at Stanford, about the pressure of family legacy, about learning to separate business ruthlessness from personal kindness. Joyce shared stories about navigating corporate Korea as a black woman, about the small victories and daily microaggressions, about building a life in Seoul that felt authentically hers. At 11 p.m., Alexander walked her out, his hand on the small of her back. "Thank you," he said at the entrance, "for taking a chance on me." "Thank you for moving that chair," Joyce smiled. "Best worst aim I've ever had." He laughed, then sobered. Joyce, I meant what I said earlier. If this gets difficult, if the pressure becomes too much. I'll tell you, she squeezed his hand. But don't protect me from myself. I'm tougher than I look. I know, that's one of the things I love about you. Love, the word hung between them, too big, too soon, too true. Good night, Alexander. Good night, Joyce. She walked away, feeling his eyes on her until she turned the corner. Her phone buzzed. I'm already thinking about the next time I'll see you. Tomorrow, coffee before work. Joyce smiled, typing back, only if you're buying. CEO salary and all. I'd give you everything I own if you asked. Joyce's breath caught. She thought she was walking into a simple dinner, but Alexander Chen wasn't simple. He was complicated and intense, and apparently willing to put her at the center of his carefully controlled world. She texted back, all I want is the coffee, and maybe another dinner, and maybe for you to stop being so dramatic. I'll work on the dramatic part, the rest is yours. Joyce looked up at the Seoul skyline, lights glittering like promises. She'd come to Korea for a job. She'd stayed for a life she'd built herself. Now she was walking into something that could either complete that life or destroy it. She thought about David's warning, about the enemies Alexander had mentioned, about the script his family expected him to follow. Then she thought about the way he'd looked at her, like she was worth rewriting that script. Okay, universe, Joyce whispered, let's see what you've got. 2 weeks flew by in a whirlwind of stolen moments and growing complications. Coffee before work became their ritual. Alexander would text her at 6 a.m., usual spot, and Joyce would find him in the little cafe 3 blocks from Chen Tower, 2 cups already ordered, looking unfairly handsome in his suit. They kept it professional at the office. No lingering glances in meetings, no preferential treatment. If anything, Alexander was harder on Joyce's department than others, making sure no one could accuse her of benefiting from their relationship. But after hours was different. Dinners at quiet restaurants, late-night walks along the Han River, Alexander showing up at her apartment with takeout and an earnest desire to meet Malcolm, her judgmental orange cat. He hates everyone, Joyce warned. Malcolm took one look at Alexander and purred, rubbing against his legs. Traitor, Joyce muttered, while Alexander laughed and scratched behind Malcolm's ears. Her brothers found out week 2. The video call was chaos. You're dadding your boss, Marcus, the oldest, practically shouted. Joyce, that's a billionaire boss, her middle brother Terrell interrupted. I googled him. Sis, this man is rich. Can he fight? Damon, the youngest, asked seriously. Because if he hurts you, I'm flying to Korea and we're having words. I can handle myself, Joyce said, but she was smiling. This was her family, loud, protective, and convinced she needed their approval for everything. Put him on, Marcus demanded. I want to talk to him. Absolutely not. Joyce Elizabeth Kim, you put that man on this call right now. Alexander appeared behind her shoulder, grinning. Hello, I'm Alexander Chen. And yes, I'm aware that if I hurt her, 3 men from Chicago will make my life very difficult. Her brothers stared. Then all 3 started talking at once, interrogating Alexander about his intentions, his job, his ability to appreciate good deep-dish pizza. Alexander handled it with grace and humor, winning them over by the end of the call. He's good, Marcus admitted later in a text. Still don't fully trust him, but he's good. The night of the charity gala arrived with Joyce's anxiety at an all-time high. Minji had helped her shop for a dress, a stunning floor-length gown in deep sapphire that made her brown skin glow. Her hair was styled in an elegant updo, minimal jewelry, makeup that made her eyes look huge and luminous. When Alexander picked her up, he stopped in the doorway of her apartment, staring. You're beautiful, he said simply. You're always beautiful, but tonight, Joyce, you're going to steal every headline tomorrow. That's what I'm worried about. He stepped inside, taking her hands. Hey, look at me. My mother is going to love you because you're brilliant and funny and you don't take my shit. The rest of my family will fall in line, and if anyone makes you uncomfortable, we leave. Immediately. You can't just leave your own mother's gala. Watch me. His expression was fierce. You're more important than any of this. The gala was held at the Chen family estate, An enormous traditional Korean home updated with modern luxury, every inch screaming old money and power. Cars lined the circular drive, all expensive, all immaculate. Joyce's hand tightened on Alexander's arm. "Breathe," he murmured. "You faced down hostile board members. You can handle my mother." Mrs. Chen was tiny, elegant, and sharp-eyed, wearing a traditional hanbok in deep plum. She looked at Joyce with an expression that gave nothing away. "Mother," Alexander said, "this is Joyce Kim, Director of Analytics at Chen Industries. Joyce, my mother, Catherine Chen." "Mrs. Chen," Joyce bowed, perfect angle, respectful. "Thank you for having me." "Joyce Kim." Mrs. Chen's eyes swept over her, assessing. "My son speaks very highly of your work. He says you saved the company considerable money with your semiconductor analysis." "I was just doing my job, ma'am." "Modesty, interesting." Mrs. Chen's expression softened slightly. "Walk with me, Ms. Kim. Let's discuss your intentions regarding my son." Alexander started to protest, but his mother silenced him with a look. Joyce followed her through the gardens, heart pounding. "I'm not going to pretend this is what I expected," Mrs. Chen said once they were alone. "I had other plans for Alexander, alliances to be made, families to unite." "I understand." "Do you?" Mrs. Chen stopped, turning to face her. "Do you understand that loving my son means accepting a certain level of danger, that our family has enemies who will see you as a vulnerability, that your life will be public, scrutinized, judged?" Joyce met her eyes. "With respect, Mrs. Chen, my life has always been public and judged. I've been the only black woman in rooms full of power my entire career. I've had people assume I'm a secretary when I'm the director. I've had to be twice as good to get half the recognition. I know what it's like to be scrutinized." Mrs. Chen studied her for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. "My son chose well. You have a spine." "Thank you." "It's a compliment. Too many women see Alexander as a prize to be won, but you see him as a person. That's rare." She touched Joyce's arm gently. "Love him, Ms. Kim, but also protect yourself. Our world can be cruel." The gala continued, and Joyce met more Chen relatives, business associates, society matrons who looked at her with barely concealed curiosity. Alexander never left her side, his hand always finding hers, his presence a constant reassurance. At midnight they stepped onto a balcony for air. Souls sprawled beneath them, endless and glittering. "You survived," Alexander said, pulling her close. "Your mother is terrifying, and I think I like her." He laughed. "She likes you too. Trust me, if she didn't, we'd know." Joyce leaned against him, feeling the solid warmth of his chest, his heartbeat steady under her ear. "This is real, isn't it? We're really doing this." "Yes," he kissed the top of her head. "And I." His phone buzzed, then again, then continuously. Alexander pulled it out, his expression darkening as he read. "Fuck." "What?" "We need to go, now." He moved fast, guiding her back inside, grabbing their coats, making excuses to his mother with a tension Joyce had never seen before. In the car, he made rapid-fire phone calls in Korean too quick for Joyce to follow. "Alexander, what's happening?" "A hostile takeover attempt. One of our rivals, Jinwoo Corporation, just announced they've acquired 30% of Chen Industries stock. They're calling for an emergency board meeting tomorrow." His jaw was tight. "This isn't just business, Joyce. This is personal. Jinwoo's CEO, Park Min-seok, hates my family. His father lost a major deal to mine 20 years ago. He's been waiting for an opening." "What does this have to do with me?" Alexander's hand found hers, gripping tight. "Everything. The timing isn't coincidental. We go public with our relationship, and 2 weeks later he makes his move. He's going to use you, Joyce. Use our relationship to question my judgment, to say I'm distracted, to paint me as someone who puts personal desires over company welfare." Joyce felt cold spread through her chest. "So we're a liability?" "No, he's trying to make you seem like one, but I won't let him." Alexander's voice was steel. "Tomorrow, that board meeting is going to be brutal. He'll bring up our relationship, try to embarrass you, make you seem like I slept my way to success." Joyce finished, bitter. "He'll try, but Joyce," Alexander pulled the car over, turning to face her, "your work speaks for itself. Your analytics saved us millions. Every promotion you've received was earned, and tomorrow I'm going to make sure everyone in that room knows it. By defending me, that'll just make it look worse. Then what do you want me to do? Joyce thought for a moment, her mind racing. Let me defend myself. Put me in that meeting. Let me present my work, my value. Let me show them exactly who Joyce Kim is, with or without her relationship to you. Alexander stared at her. You want to walk into a room full of hostile board members who are looking for any excuse to tear you down. I've been doing that my whole career. Joyce's voice was firm. I'm not hiding. I'm not being protected like I'm helpless. If Park wants to question my competence, he can do it to my face. God, you're incredible. Alexander pulled her into a kiss, fierce and desperate. Okay, tomorrow we show them exactly who they're dealing with. But neither of them anticipated what Park Minseok had actually planned. The next morning, Joyce arrived at Chen Tower to find reporters camped outside, cameras flashing as she entered. Inside, her office had been broken into, nothing taken, but everything disturbed. A message. Her assistant met her with wide eyes. Director Kim, someone's been leaking information. Internal emails, meeting minutes, all sent anonymously to business reporters. They're writing that you've been receiving preferential treatment, that your promotions were influenced. Joyce felt fury rise in her chest. Get me copies of everything that's been leaked, and call legal, now. The board meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. At 1:30, Joyce's phone rang. Unknown number. Ms. Kim, a smooth voice said. This is Park Minseok. I thought we should talk before the meeting. I have nothing to say to you. Not even if I offer you a way out. A generous severance package. Excellent references. All you have to do is end your relationship with Alexander Chen and resign from Chen Industries. Quietly. Joyce's hand tightened on her phone. You're trying to buy me off. I'm offering you a graceful exit. Because Ms. Kim, if you attend that meeting today, I will destroy your reputation. I have evidence of every favorable decision Alexander has made regarding your department. Every time he approved your budget increases. Every promotion. I'll make it look like a quid pro quo arrangement. My work stands on its own. Does it, or does it stand on Alexander Chen's protection? Park's voice turned cold. You're smart, Ms. Kim, smart enough to know when you're outmatched. Take the money, walk away, or watch everything you've built crumble. Joyce hung up. Her hands were shaking, but her mind was clear. She pulled out her laptop and started preparing. At 1:55, Alexander appeared in her doorway. Joyce, you don't have to. Yes, I do, she stood, smoothing her blazer. He called me, offered me money to leave, to end us. Alexander's expression turned murderous. That bastard. He's scared. Joyce picked up her laptop. Which means we have leverage. Come on, let's go show him why. The boardroom was packed. 20 board members plus lawyers plus Park Minseok himself, a man in his 50s with silver hair and cold eyes. Ah, Director Kim, Park said with false warmth. How kind of you to join us for this executive matter. I was invited, Joyce said evenly, taking her seat. And since my competence is apparently on trial, I thought I should defend myself. Park's smile sharpened. No one's questioning your competence, Ms. Kim. We're simply examining whether certain decisions at Chen Industries have been influenced by personal entanglements. The meeting devolved quickly. Park presented his evidence, budget approvals, promotion timelines, every instance of Alexander's interaction with Joyce's department. On paper, it looked damning. Joyce waited, let him build his case, then she opened her laptop. Mr. Park, may I present some evidence of my own? She pulled up her analytics. Every project she'd worked on, complete with ROI calculations, cost savings, revenue increases. Detailed breakdowns showing exactly how her work had benefited Chen Industries. The semiconductor analysis Mr. Park mentioned, Joyce said, her voice steady and clear. Saved the company $47 million. The supply chain optimization in Q2 increased efficiency by 23%. The market forecasting model I developed has been accurate within 2% for 8 consecutive quarters. She clicked through slides, each one more damning to Park's narrative than the last. Every promotion I received came after measurable, quantifiable success. Every budget increase my department received was justified by prior results. And yes, Mr. Chen approved these decisions, because that's his job as CEO, to recognize value and invest in it. She turned to face Park directly. You called me this morning, offered me money to walk away. That tells me this isn't about corporate governance or proper oversight. This is about you trying to remove someone you see as Alexander Chen's weakness. But Mr. Park, her smile was sharp. I'm nobody's weakness. I'm my own strength. The room erupted. Board members started talking over each other, some defending Joyce, others questioning Park's tactics. Alexander stood. This meeting is adjourned. Mr. Park, you've made your hostile intentions clear, but Chen Industries doesn't respond to intimidation, and we don't sacrifice our best people to corporate warfare. He looked around the room. Director Kim's record speaks for itself. Anyone who wants to challenge that can take it up with me personally. This meeting is over. As people filed out, Park stopped beside Joyce. This isn't finished. Yes, Joyce said quietly. It is, because you showed your hand, and now everyone in this room knows exactly what kind of man you are. The aftermath was messy. Park's takeover attempt failed. The board, seeing his underhanded tactics, rallied behind Alexander. Jinwoo Corporation's stock plummeted as their methods became public knowledge. But for Joyce, the damage was personal. The leaked emails, the public scrutiny, the whispers that followed her through Chen Tower's halls, it all took its toll. She threw herself into work, staying late, arriving early, determined to prove beyond any doubt that she deserved her position. Alexander watched, increasingly worried. You're burning out, he said one night, finding her in her office at 11 p.m. I'm fine. You're not. He closed the door, sitting across from her. Joyce, you proved yourself. You destroyed Park's arguments. Everyone knows you're brilliant. Do they? Joyce's voice cracked. Because I still see it in their eyes, wondering, speculating. Every meeting, every presentation, they're looking for proof that I'm here because of you. Then they're idiots. Or they're right. Joyce set down her pen. Alexander, maybe Park had a point, not about my competence but about us. Our relationship does complicate things. It does make me look. Don't, Alexander's voice was sharp. Don't let him win by doubting yourself. I'm not doubting myself, I'm being realistic. Joyce stood, packing. I love my job, I love what I've built here. But every day I stay, every day we're together, someone's going to question whether I earned it. So what are you saying? Joyce turned to face him, tears threatening. I don't know. Maybe I need to transfer. Different company, different country. Start over where our relationship doesn't cast a shadow over everything I do. Alexander stood, crossing to her in 2 strides. No. Alexander. No. His hands cupped her face, forcing her to look at him. I won't let Park Minseok or corporate gossip or anyone else drive you away. Joyce, I love you. The words hung between them, finally spoken after weeks of dancing around them. I love you, Alexander repeated. I love your brilliance and your humor and the way you make me want to be better than the script my family wrote for me. I love that you call me out when I'm being ridiculous. I love that you made my cat-hatting heart love a cat named Malcolm. I love everything about you. And I won't lose you because some bitter man tried to weaponize our happiness. But people will always. Let them. His thumb brushed away a tear from her cheek. Joyce, you're right that this is complicated, that our relationship creates challenges, but you're wrong if you think running will solve it. You'll face the same scrutiny, the same doubts, anywhere you go, because the problem isn't us. It's a world that can't handle seeing a brilliant woman in power without trying to diminish her. So what do? We stay, we fight. We prove every single day that your talent is undeniable, and we do it together. He pressed his forehead to hers. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but Joyce, easy isn't what we are. We're the woman who sits on laps and turns it into a power move, and the man who's brave enough to rewrite his entire life for her. Joyce laughed through her tears. That's the worst motivational speech I've ever heard. Is it working? Unfortunately. Alexander kissed her then, soft, sweet, full of promise. Stay, please, not for me, for yourself. Because you've earned every inch of your success and walking away would be letting them win. Joyce pulled back, looking into his eyes. She thought about everything she'd built, every late night, every breakthrough, every moment of triumph. She'd earned her place at Chen Industries, earned respect, recognition, results. Park Min-seok and people like him wanted her to doubt that, to shrink herself, to run, to accept that she couldn't have both love and career success. "Screw that," Joyce said out loud. Alexander grinned. "Yeah. Yeah." Joyce felt something shift inside her, resolve, determination, the same fire that had brought her to Korea in the first place. "I'm not going anywhere. I'm Joyce Kim. I don't run from complicated. I make complicated work for me." "There she is." Alexander pulled her close. "My fearless woman." "I'm terrified." "Good, means you're alive." They stood like that for a long moment, wrapped in each other, the Seoul skyline glittering beyond the windows. "So what now?" Joyce asked. "Now we go home, get some sleep. Tomorrow you crush that presentation you've been preparing, and next week I'm taking you to meet my grandmother." "Your grandmother?" "The real power in the Chen family. My mother might run the social circles, but grandmother runs everything else. And she's been demanding to meet the woman who finally made me smile at family dinners." Joyce groaned. "More family, more scrutiny. More people to fall in love with you." Alexander kissed her forehead. "It's inevitable. You're irresistible." 6 months later, Joyce stood in the same boardroom where Park had tried to destroy her credibility. She just presented her annual analytics report. The room had erupted in applause, genuine, enthusiastic recognition of work that had transformed Chen Industries' entire forecasting approach. Alexander caught her eye from across the table and winked. After the meeting, Joyce found flowers on her desk, not from Alexander, from the board chairman with a note. "Excellence recognizes excellence. Thank you for your exceptional contributions." Her phone buzzed. "Minji, lunch. I need to hear everything about the grandmother meeting." Joyce smiled, typing back, "She loved me. Of course she loved me. I'm delightful. Modest too, I see. One of my many virtues." That evening, Joyce and Alexander walked along the Han River, fingers intertwined. Malcolm was home, probably judging them from afar. Life was beautifully, complicatedly perfect. "I've been thinking," Alexander said. "Dangerous." "About us, about what comes next." Joyce's heart rate picked up. "Alexander Chen, if you're about to propose in joggers by a river, I'm saying no on principle." He laughed. "Not proposing, not yet, but I am thinking about the future, our future. And I wanted to ask, what do you want, Joyce? Not what's expected or practical. What do you actually want?" Joyce considered this. 6 months ago, she'd been terrified of losing herself in this relationship. Now, she realized she'd found more of herself than she'd ever known existed. "I want to keep building," she said. "My career, our relationship, a life that doesn't fit into neat boxes. I want to meet my potential and yours. I want to make your mother laugh and argue with your grandmother and teach your family about Chicago deep dish pizza. They'll hate deep dish. I know, it'll be hilarious." Alexander stopped walking, turning to face her. "I want all of that too. And Joyce, when I do propose, it won't be in joggers by a river. No. No, it'll be somewhere completely unexpected, probably embarrassing, maybe involving musical chairs again, given our history." Joyce burst out laughing. "You're ridiculous." "You love it." "I do." She pulled him down for a kiss. "I really, really do." They continued walking, talking about everything and nothing. Joyce's brother's upcoming visit, the new project she was pitching, Alexander's plans to expand Chen Industries into renewable energy, Malcolm's ongoing reign of household terror. Ordinary couple things. Except they weren't ordinary, and that was exactly how Joyce wanted it. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Your brother told me about your man. When do I meet him?" Joyce showed Alexander, who paled slightly. "Your mother terrifies me more than any business deal ever has." "Good, she should," Joyce grinned. "But don't worry, she'll love you, eventually. After she's done interrogating you about your intentions and your credit score and whether you can actually make me happy." "Can I?" The question was quiet, vulnerable. Joyce stopped walking, looking up at this man who'd rewritten his entire life story for her, who'd stood beside her through scrutiny and gossip and corporate warfare, who loved her loudly, proudly, without reservation. "Yes," she said simply, "you absolutely can." Somewhere in Seoul, in a city of millions, two people who'd found each other through the worst-aimed musical chairs in history continued their story. Joyce Kim, who'd learned to be both and instead of either or, professional and playful, fierce and tender, corporate Joyce and after-hours Joyce, all rolled into one unapologetic existence. And Alexander Chen, who discovered that the best kind of power came from choosing love over expectations, authenticity over script, the messy, beautiful reality of Joyce over anyone's idea of who he should be with. They'd started with an accident, built it into intention, transformed it into something worth protecting, worth fighting for, worth choosing every single day. And as they walked beside the Han River, fingers intertwined, the future unwritten but full of possibility, Joyce realized something important. She'd spent years being careful, being invisible and unforgettable, being enough for everyone else's standards. But with Alexander, she could just be, fully, completely, unapologetically herself. And that was the greatest love story of all. Can you believe Joyce almost walked away, almost let fear and other people's opinions steal her happiness? Here's what gets me fired up about this story. Joyce Kim didn't shrink herself to fit into someone else's box. When Park Min-seok tried to make her choose between love and career, between happiness and success, she said absolutely not and claimed both. That's the energy we need. But let's be real for a second. How many of us have let others define our worth, have walked away from opportunities because someone whispered we didn't deserve them, have made ourselves smaller to make other people comfortable? This story hits different because it's about more than romance. It's about a black woman in corporate Korea refusing to be diminished. It's about a man powerful enough to rewrite generational expectations because he found someone worth rewriting them for. It's about two people choosing each other loudly, publicly, unapologetically, despite everyone telling them it was too complicated, too risky, too much. That's the kind of audacity we need more of in this world. So here's what I need from you right now. Drop a like if you've ever felt like you had to choose between your career and your personal life. If this story made you want to stand up and claim everything you deserve without apology. Comment, "I choose both," if you're tired of people trying to make you pick between your professional success and your personal happiness. Let me know in the comments, what would you have done in Joyce's position? Would you have stayed and fought, or taken Park's money and walked away? Subscribe and hit that notification bell because I'm bringing you more stories like this every single week. Stories about people who refuse to shrink, who fight for what's theirs, who love loudly and live unapologetically. We're building a community of people who believe you can have the career and the relationship and the life you deserve. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. That friend who's doubting themselves. That family member who's making themselves smaller. That person who thinks they have to choose between being powerful and being loved. And here's the thing. This is bigger than entertainment. These stories remind us that we don't have to follow anyone else's script, that love and ambition aren't enemies, that the right person will celebrate your success, not fear it, that you can walk into any boardroom, any relationship, any space and claim your worth without apology. The world will always have people like Park Min-seok, people who want to diminish you, who see your happiness as a weakness, who try to make you choose between different parts of yourself. But you know what? Those people lose every single time because people like Joyce, people like you, are unstoppable when you decide to be. So what are you waiting for? Smash that like button, drop your comments, subscribe for more stories that make you feel powerful. Because you are powerful, you deserve love and success. You deserve to be chosen and to chase your dreams. You deserve relationships that elevate you, not diminish you. And if anyone tries to tell you otherwise, channel your inner Joyce Kim, look them dead in the eye and say, "Watch me do both." Let's build this community together. I'll see you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next story. Now go claim everything that's yours. You've earned it.